The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Hi, it's John from Under the Table Hot Sauce. I'm here with my friend, the star of the show, Jimmy Pharaoh.
Yeah, what's up, JB?
Nah, nothing.
It's been a hot summer, and for all your barbecue needs, you can go to underthetablehotsauce.com. 13 unique flavors to choose from, created and bottled in a Long Island kitchen. Underthetablehotsauce.com. Let's go chow, JB.
Let's do it.
All the flavor, twice the burn.
As a lot of people, I recognize almost all your names. Very cool. Okay, so what I do with the show in the United States is this. I get questions from people, and even though this is my little live show where you can ask me questions, this is live right now. Wherever it streams later tonight, it won't be live. It'll be a reproduction. But what happens is people send questions. So let's see these questions. Some of them, anyways. Question number 1, Gerald T. Were the Ramones underrated as a band? Interesting question. Let me take a weapon of mass destruction. Were the Ramones an underrated band? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't think the Ramones achieved the level of fame that they wanted to for a million and one reasons. No, I believe that the Ramones, when it happened, my version it's a pretty good version because I know all those dudes and I was there. When punk rock started in New York City, and the version that came out of England were for two different reasons, and it was two different things. I truly believe when Malcolm McLaren, who was the manager of the Sex Pistols and had a clothing store in England, was in New York, saw the New York Dolls, saw Richard Hell, saw the Ramones, took that back to England and made a band, fashion oriented, and it got into the government and it took on a life of its own, and punk rock became what we know it is today. But the difference between the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and all that it's night and day, black and white. There's just not enough time in the day to explain why. Now the Ramones truly believe they suffered because when they were about to break, they had the image, and they were hell-bent. They were hell-bent on radio success and being a rock and roll band. But when the Sex Pistols started getting all this fame and they were supposed to come to New York City to do Saturday Night Live and then go on tour the next day, they couldn't get into the country because they all had criminal records and they wouldn't get visas, and they didn't make the Saturday Night Live appearance. Actually, Saturday Night Live launched Elvis Costello because the Sex Pistols didn't show up. But anyways, the hype was so bad that the Ramones really suffered because of that. They couldn't get gigs because of the notoriety of the Sex Pistols, heroin, throwing up on stage, violence. But little does everybody know that when the Ramones went to England, all of those people, Sex Pistols, The Clash, Generation X, joined a band because of the Ramones. So were the Ramones underrated? Not at all. Musicians who say the Ramones music is easy to play are full of shit. Like I remember reading an interview one time about Pearl Jam, and the bass player was like, yeah, when we started with the Ramones because it was so easy to play. Well, no, it wasn't easy to play. That's all you could fucking play at the time. So instead of saying the Ramones were underrated and the music is easy, start off by saying that you were a shit musician and you didn't have any fucking ability to play anything else. Different, right? The Ramones, it's all, the style of music seems easy. If you play, you can't really see it. I'm not really going to get into a position to give you a guitar lesson. But if you play, it sounds one way, but that's a Green Day version, up and down. The Ramones were just down. So the sound is different. So it's not so much if the Ramones were an underrated band. Commercially, it's like Iggy Pop. You know, right now the Ramones are God, even though they're not here anymore. But the music, if you don't know how to play it, that's not because the Ramones' music was simple or they were underrated. It's because you don't have the fucking oomph in your balls and you ain't a fucking punk rocker. So shut the fuck up and learn how to play punk rock. Punk rock is not a technique. Punk rock is a fucking lifestyle. So if you're going to play punk rock, you don't play to be nice to the guitar. You play to fucking break this motherfucker. You play punk rock to hurt people. You know what I mean? Because if you play light, if you hit the strings light, it sounds like shit. You need to turn that fucking thing up. Like my guitar is custom. I got one pickup and I don't even have it. I got a volume and the fucking volume's stuck on 10. That's punk rock. So were the Ramones underrated? No. I just think the way people perceive them is wrong. There's your question. There's your answer. And that's just me. Question number 2. Jimmy the Lumberjack. Something, Vampiro from a fellow Greek. Dude, the other day I said I was raised a Greek Catholic, Greek Orthodox. That's my religion. I don't fucking speak Latin, and I'm not Greek, bro. I'm Ukrainian and Irish. But it's great to say hello. And I do have Latin tattooed. Akitas Veritas. If you're a Boondock Saints fan, then you know what that means. But yeah, dude, I'm not Greek. I like Greek food, though. Greek women are kind of hot, too. So, kidding. But I'm very much into Greek history. And if you study magic and the transition of time, and you look how Greek philosophy and Greek literature and Greek culture was a big part of the transition from the invasion of Egypt, and Rome in the middle was Greek gods, philosophies, histories. There's a very important part of our hidden history if you study those things. So yeah, anyways, Tori X, your last episode, you discussed video games, but it seems like you are always training or teaching. What do you do for fun? I'm training, teaching, and studying. And what I do, this is what I do for fun. To me, it's fun as fuck to study. I love learning things. You know, I'm really into the Ancient Aliens, that TV show. I'm sure you've heard about it. That whole thing. All those dudes that are on that show, I study with them. That whole lifestyle, I live it to the T. So I fucking love that. Practicing magic, I love that. Playing guitar, I fucking love that. Smoking marijuana and cooking, I love that. And my biggest addiction in the planet is that right there. PlayStation, I absolutely love PlayStation. I enjoy more than anything reading, and I enjoy very much watching a good documentary that I can get things from where I can go study more. So I love my life. Like I'm studying to be a chef. I'm already a chef, but you always got to learn. So I love cooking. I love going shopping and looking for ingredients and finding obscure things. That kind of shit, I love. So I'm happy. So you say I'm always teaching. I'm always teaching, I'm always studying, I'm always training, but I'm learning and I'm sharing and I'm creating. That is fucking devastating. So I'm happy. I hope that answers your question. Bobby, thoughts on the Pope's statements on couples being selfish, having pets instead of kids? I believe in God. I'm a Freemason, and I'm also a seeker. I'm a ritual magician. I experiment with the occult. And I think I'm on a certain path that gives me access to different versions of different things. I would like to keep it short and say, tell the Pope to go and take care of 3 kids, 4 kids, 1 kid by himself, work 3 minimum wage jobs, try to pay bills, try to raise a family, and try to make sure that he has a peace of mind. Go to the orphanages and look at all the abandoned kids. Go to the borders in Latin America and look at how the parents cross and they leave their kids behind, and those kids get abducted and sold into fucking slavery as sex toys. If the Pope can go and do that for a year with no help and raise a family by himself, teach his kids not to join gangs, teach their kids that material things aren't important and they don't have to sell drugs and fucking rob, and his minimum wage job is enough. Go and tell the Pope what it's like to try to be a single woman and raise 3 kids. Go to the Pope and try to be a single fucking dad and have your wife sick in the hospital and try to cook lunch and do homework and then work 2 and 3 minimum wage jobs and raise a family. When the Pope can do that, then I believe the Pope can have an opinion. Don't hide behind a fucking book that was written on purpose to manipulate the masses. That's not religion. That's not what Jesus Christ said. You don't even know who the fuck Jesus Christ was, do you? Have you met him? I'm sure in the Vatican, in their library, we need to go back in history. The year was 528 after the death of Christ. The Roman Empire then destroyed all of the libraries in the world, confiscated all the books, all the literature, all the ancient knowledge, and manipulated the human race into what they're doing now so they can control things. It wasn't religion, it was business. So if you can do all that shit, then you have an opinion. If you don't, and you hide behind a multi-trillion ultra fucking, you're so corrupt that the Vatican is its own country with its own police force and its own passport in Italy. You have your own laws, you have your own bank, you have your own currency. I believe that you need to be careful of the things you say, because at these times when the world is waking up, and COVID has offered the human race an opportunity to reboot and reanalyze a lot of things, those messages, especially in poorer countries like Mexico, where the people are dumbed down by false prophets. The Pope, you were elected into a position that you're only going to hold for a couple of years. You don't have the right to dictate things like that. That's just my opinion. And if you don't like it, don't fucking ask. Todd Hill, did you ever take PhD and did you think they worked? I have no fucking clue. What is PhD? I'm assuming it's a drug or a supplement. Never heard of it. No clue. Sorry, dude. Crazy Paint 43. Do you wish you had become a hockey player? I was a hockey player. Do you mean, do I wish I pursued it? No, not at all. I have a fucking awesome life. Sick or not, I have an awesome life. I'm doing what I want to do my way. I'm a single dad to a beautiful young daughter who's starting her life. That wouldn't have happened if I was a hockey player. I got a lot of fans who listen to my stuff, follow me on the radio, and I get to create and I get to follow my dreams. If I was a hockey player for a profession, I would never be able to do these things. So I'm quite content with the choices I've made in life. But great question. No, thank you. A. Phillips, do you have a non-wrestling story about Scott Hall? Yeah, of course I do. The last time I really interacted with Scott Hall was in New York City. We were doing a TV show together, and there was some things that happened to me in WCW. And basically Scott Hall said, look, when you were there, we were told one thing about you. We believed somebody over the reality, and we saw that person who buried you. And unfortunately, we fucked with you because of that person's influence. But once we saw that person was full of shit and that you're cool, him and Kevin Nash apologized in their own way. And it was a great thing for me. And I'll always got mad love for Scott Hall because of that. And I don't need to talk about his personal stuff because that's his stuff. And I'm just grateful that I can call him a friend. What is my favorite movie? I believe it's easier to say I don't really have a favorite movie. I really enjoy a good documentary about ancient history. I love seeing things about ancient Egypt, ancient religions. That kind of stuff really moves me. Movies, I like Jason Bourne. I like the James Bond stuff. But I really haven't been watching a lot of movies because I'm not really into supporting something that's not going to give me information that I need to be a better version of myself. So I've kind of stopped watching movies. I'm a big South Park fan. But other than that, that's it. What about, are you interested in what goes on in the mind of serial killers? If so, thoughts on the Iceman or the Son of Sam? There was absolute way I'm interested in what goes on in their minds, because who the fuck am I? Why would I put myself, because I started becoming spiritual into as a ritual magician, why go into somebody's personal business that can only give me scar tissue? Am I interested in the scenarios surrounding something like the Son of Sam? You better believe it. And I'll get to that in a minute. But going into the mind as a fucking gossip hound, as watching somebody who got sexual gratification on killing somebody, that doesn't interest me at all. I don't want that in my life. That just gives me more. Being a guy who has mental health issues, that'll freak me the fuck out. I don't want to know about that shit. You know what I mean? So no, I don't give a fuck. But the Son of Sam is such a deep story. If you know the backstory and the satanic cults that are involved, the pedophilia, the crime behind it, they're basically, if you really know the obscure story behind Son of Sam, there were drugs involved, very high-placed, Jeffrey Epstein type stuff. Drugs were involved, guns were involved, human sacrifice was involved, satanic rituals were involved, but not satanic rituals. Dark magic rituals were involved. How real was it? I don't know. I wasn't there. Was it used as a disguise or a manipulation tool? Probably. But the murders were actually committed by more than one person, and it was sexual gratification, and it was done because there was a group of people at the time. There is an underground. That's why all these freaks and fucked up people watch young kids getting raped on video and they get off on that. Same thing. Snuff films were very popular, watching somebody die or watching a murder being committed. That's what the Son of Sam really was. Behind the story of one guy, David Berkowitz, saying he heard voices and all that kind of stuff. Were there fucked up things that happened? Yeah, for sure. Were there more than one person involved? 100%. Was there a cult involved? Most definitely. Are some of those people still out there committing crimes? 100%. Do I want to say any more about it? Absolutely not. Do I know things? Some things, yeah, for sure. Is it fucked up? Big time. Is it real? More than you know. More than you know. But to finish that question, do I give a fuck what goes on in a serial killer's mind? No, not at all. Not at all. No. Number 10, Kevin O. Do you believe it was written by aliens? Oh, man. My brother. I don't know. This is why I said at the beginning, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this, because I don't know if that's a serious question or somebody's making fun of me or what the fuck. Absolutely fucking not. Did you even look into the history of who wrote the Bible? No. The Bible was written by politicians. There's 4 gospels in the Bible, that in the King James Bible, when you go to church, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But there was over 900 gospels, and some of them were written by women. One of the most important ones was by Mary Magdalene. They're not included in the version of the Bible that's used to brainwash us right now. If you study the Dead Sea Scrolls, if you look back at the Gnostic Bibles, if you look back at the Gospel of Thomas, do some research. Go find the Gospel of Thomas. The reason I ask you to research that book is because that book was a first person's account. The Bhagavad Gita's, the Hindu Bibles, the older version of things. Our teachings, my things that I found in studies is those older books were first person accounts, witnesses writing things down as they saw them, or in the Gnostic Bible, Jesus Christ dictating to somebody who was writing, not something that was written hundreds of years after the movement, after people have died, where there is no record. Things were interpreted by a group of politicians, debated on, and universally decided and written into a language that was used to manipulate the masses. You need to know, because there really was no internet. There was no Google. There was no libraries. They were all destroyed by the Catholic Church. It is what it is. Am I wrong? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Do I care if you disagree with me? Even less. My point is, depending on a region of Greece, of Ethiopia, of Iraq, of Iran, of Baghdad, of Russia, it depends on the timeline, the local dialect at that time. If you translate a certain word, which goes back to something I was talking about earlier, if you translate a certain word into your culture's language, you lose the meaning. You have something similar, but the meaning doesn't come across as the way it's supposed to be originally intended. So the version of whatever was dictated by Jesus Christ, the image that we have in the Gnostic Bible during his lifetime. You got to remember, Jesus Christ disappeared when he was 13 years old till he was 33, right? Where the fuck did he go? Well, he was in Egypt studying these ancient things that were brought to us by advanced civilizations. So his philosophies and his things were way ahead of time. Jesus of Nazareth. Nazareth was not a city. It's not a physical place. Nazareth is a title. Nazareth means teacher or to transfer knowledge. Read the Gospel of Thomas. So I have this book in Spanish. It's Symbols and Signs, an illustrated guide to the origins and meanings of ancient symbols. So whatever version you have of something like this or something like that, it's because it was dictated to you by people who decided what those symbols meant and what they should mean to you today. If you really knew what all of this meant side by side, this is a language. This symbol means a scenario. It describes an event. It describes a time. It describes a region. It describes a culture. So if you put 3 or 4 of these symbols, which universally have such a deep meaning, you tell a story. But because of organized religion destroying all this and separating the symbols and giving a symbol to Egypt, a symbol to Turkey, a symbol to Istanbul, the language built around that over years and over time, because there was nobody to write it down, got lost in translation. So did aliens write the Bible? No, my friend. Power-hungry people learn how to manipulate you and me in a very effective way. Now, with all the access to occult, hidden information, my only suggestion to you is listen to somebody like me. Look who influences me and continue to study, because the information is out there. It's free and it belongs to all of us. So you cannot look at ancient Egypt and believe anything that you were taught or you think you know. If you study and you realize what you see is 5% of what was ancient Egypt, what's been lost, destroyed, or buried under the sands, the information that was destroyed by the Roman Empire in the year 528, and all of that original texts, original translations are hidden in the Vatican's secret library. And it's not underneath the Vatican. If you think for a fucking second that they're going to put the language, and I don't mean language, I don't mean symbols or words, the mathematical, ancient, advanced geometry that is a star map that will open portals to go and come and have contact with the people who put us here. That's a whole other fucking thing. So when you talk about stuff like that and you ask me, was the Bible written by aliens? And I kind of just told you how deep this goes. You can either say I'm crazy or I don't know what I'm talking about, or I can look at you and say, it's a shame that you're too lazy and stupid to research and understand that we've been lied to for centuries and the information is there. Yeah, so that's kind of my answer to those questions. I'm probably not going to make any friends, and that's cool. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here just to be who I am. I really appreciate it, though. Thank you. And I would like to keep going. Let's just see how this grows. Everybody else who's following me on the radio station and everybody who pays attention to what I'm doing and is part of the growth, thank you. I'm not going to fail you. I'm not going to let you down. Things are growing very quickly. It's all awesome. And I appreciate your time. Every one of you, you mean everything to me. The OGs, you know who you are. And I'm very grateful that you're here with me. Please enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have an amazing day. Stay healthy, be safe, and get ready for the cooking stuff. I finally got it. And we'll talk soon. Have a great day.